shot it 47 times before it stopped moving. But that's not what made the hunters quit. What made them quit was realizing it had been following them for 3 days, and they'd never heard it. Not once. Not a footstep, not a breath. Nothing. 47 bullets, and the only sound in that forest was the gunfire itself. I'm looking at the file right now. Object designation, Mulchin 1. Mute 1 in English, though the translation doesn't capture the unease in the Russian word. The folder is thick, swollen with moisture damage. Some bureaucrat spilled tea on it, or vodka, more likely, and never bothered to dry it properly. The pages are warped, and the ink has bled in places, turning words into shadows of words. There's a photograph paper-clipped to the first page, black and white, taken with a flash in poor lighting. It shows something. 4 legs. Canine, maybe. Wolf-sized, but the proportions are wrong. The hindquarters are too muscular, the front legs too short. The head is lowered, and you can't see the face clearly, but you can see its mouth hanging open. No tongue, no teeth visible. Just darkness inside, like someone cut a hole in the photograph. The image is dated April 1971, Komi Republic. Middle of nowhere, taiga forests so remote, they still find old believer communities that don't know the Second World War ended. Let me start with the hunters. Incident report, April 14th, 1971, village of Ushma. 3 men went into the forest on April 11th. Experienced hunters, all of them. Locals who'd been tracking game in those woods since childhood. Their names are in the file. Grigory Suslov, 52. Mikhail Karpov, 47. Yevgeny Petrov, 31. They were hunting elk. The spring thaw had just finished, and the animals were emerging from their winter grounds, hungry and careless. Easy hunting, usually the kind of trip where you're back in 2 days with enough meat to last a month. They didn't come back in 2 days. On April 14th, Mikhail Karpov stumbled out of the forest alone. He walked straight to the village constable's office and said, "We killed it, but it's still in my head. I can't hear anything else." Then he sat down on the floor and wouldn't move. The constable, a man named Anatoly Resnik, his report is here, thought Karpov was drunk or injured, but when he examined him, he found no wounds, no signs of exposure. Karpov's clothes were intact, his gear was still packed correctly. He wasn't dehydrated or frostbitten, he was just broken. That's the word Constable Resnik used. Broken, like a machine that still runs but doesn't work properly anymore. Karpov kept saying the same thing. It never made a sound, we never heard it. How did we never hear it? The constable organized a search party. They found the hunting camp on April 15th, about 30 kilometers into the forest. Found Grigory Suslov there, sitting beside a dead fire, staring at the tree line. He was alive, but unresponsive. Wouldn't speak, wouldn't eat, just sat there, watching the trees. Yevgeny Petrov was missing, but they found his rifle. All 3 rifles, actually, arranged in a neat triangle in the center of camp. Empty. 47 spent casings scattered around them like offerings. And blood. Not a lot. Just droplets leading away from the camp into the forest. The trail went on for 200 meters, then stopped. Not faded, just stopped. Like whatever was bleeding had simply ceased to exist mid-step. The search party followed the blood trail, found Petrov at the end of it. He was hanging from a tree branch 7 meters off the ground. No rope, no climbing equipment nearby. His body was positioned vertically, arms at his sides, like he'd been placed there by something tall enough to reach that high without effort. His neck was broken. But here's the detail that made the searchers back away slowly. His eyes were open, and his head was turned completely backward, facing down his own spine. The official cause of death was listed as accidental fall during hunting expedition. But one of the search party, a geologist named Dmitry Orlov, in the area studying mineral deposits, filed his own report. It's tucked into this file, stapled to the back, like someone wanted it included but didn't want it prominent. Orlov wrote, "The body showed no signs of climbing, no bark under fingernails, no abrasions on hands or clothing. The branch he was found on was smooth, old growth, at least 15 centimeter diameter. It didn't bend under his weight. Whatever put him there was strong enough to lift a 78-kilogram man 7 meters straight up, and careful enough not to disturb a single leaf. Also, I have been in the taiga for 6 weeks. I know what animal sounds to expect. The forest around that camp was completely silent. No birds, no insects, no wind. I've never experienced anything like it. It was as if the entire ecosystem had evacuated." Orlov's report was marked filed and apparently ignored, but someone at the KGB read it, because 3 days later, a specialist team arrived from Moscow. Investigation. Team Department 8, April 19th, 1971, Department 8. I've seen that designation before in other files. They handled biological anomalies and unexplained predation events, which is Soviet bureaucratic language for things that kill people in ways that don't make sense. The team was led by Senior Lieutenant Vasily Sokolov. His background, according to a personnel file that somehow ended up in this folder, included a degree in veterinary medicine and a classified service record in Uzbekistan dealing with aggressive fauna containment. I don't know what that means, but the next line says he received a commendation for preventing civilian casualties during incident with unidentified predator, August 1968. He brought 4 specialists with him, 2 hunters, 1 veterinarian, 1. The file just says consultant. No name, just Consultant K. Consultant K filed most of the detailed reports. The handwriting is precise, almost mechanical. Every letter identical. Medical training, I'd guess. Or maybe just an obsessive personality. They re-interviewed Mikhail Karpov first. He'd been sedated by the village doctor. They thought he was in shock. But when Sokolov's team woke him up, he became focused. That's the word used. Subject became intensely focused when questioned about the animal. The transcript is here. Sokolov, describe what you saw. Karpov, we didn't see it until the end. That's the problem. That's why Grigory won't talk. He saw it last, and now he can't process it. Sokolov, start from the beginning. When did you first notice something was wrong? Karpov, second day. We'd set up camp, killed a young elk that morning. Good kill, clean. We were processing the meat when Yevgeny said, "Something's watching us." Sokolov, did you see anything? Karpov, no. But Yevgeny was right, you could feel it, like pressure on the back of your neck. We checked the perimeter, nothing. No tracks, no scat, no broken branches. The forest was just, there. Normal. Sokolov, when did the silence start? Karpov, long pause. You already know about that. Sokolov, answer the question. Karpov, that night. We were eating and Yevgeny said, "Listen." So we listened. No birds, no insects, no wind, just us. Just the sound of us chewing. And that's when I realized I hadn't heard anything since we made camp. Not the whole afternoon. The forest had gone quiet, and we hadn't noticed because we were talking, working, making noise ourselves. Sokolov, what did you do? Karpov, we kept watch, took turns, 2 sleeping, 1 awake. Standard practice. I took first watch, sat there for 2 hours, listening to nothing, just silence. And then, pause. Then I heard it. Sokolov. Heard what? Karpov. The absence of sound, I know that doesn't make sense, but it was like, you know how you can hear someone standing behind you, even if they're not making noise? Their presence has a sound, or your brain creates one. I heard that. A hole in the silence, something close, very close, within meters of the camp. Sokolov, did you see it? Karpov. I turned on my torch, scanned the tree line, nothing. But the absence moved. I could hear it moving, not footsteps, just the silence shifted, like a shadow made of no sound circling us. Sokolov, what did you do? Karpov. I woke the others, told them. Grigory thought I was being paranoid, but Yevgeny grabbed his rifle immediately. He felt it too. We sat there, backs together, watching different directions, and it circled us all night, never coming closer than 10 meters, never making a sound, just present. Sokolov, when did you see it? Karpov, morning, dawn. The sun came up, and suddenly there were birds again, insects, the forest came alive. Whatever had been out there was gone. We thought maybe it was nocturnal, maybe it had left. So we decided to pack up, head back. Sokolov, but you didn't leave. Karpov, we tried. But every time we moved toward the trail, we'd find, I don't know how to explain it. We'd find ourselves walking the wrong direction, like the forest had rearranged itself. We'd be heading south toward the village, and then we'd see our own footprints ahead of us. From behind, like we'd been walking in circles without turning around. Sokolov, how long did this continue? Karpov, all day, all night. We covered maybe 2 kilometers. We should have been back at the village by noon. By evening, we were still within sight of our camp. That's when Yevgeny lost it, started screaming. It's hurting us, can't you see? It's keeping us here. Sokolov, hurting you where? Karpov, not where, just keeping us, like livestock. Like it was waiting for us to pause, waiting for us to weaken, to become easy. Sokolov, when did you finally see the animal? Karpov, 3rd night. We stopped trying to leave, built up the fire, decided to wait it out, take turns sleeping. I was on watch again when I saw the eyes. Sokolov, describe them. Karpov, they weren't reflecting the firelight. That's what you expect, right? Animal eyes shine when light hits them. These didn't. They absorbed light, like 2 holes in the darkness, shaped like eyes, about 1 meter off the ground, just watching. Sokolov, how far away? Karpov, just outside the firelight, maybe 5 meters. I raised my rifle, aimed at the eyes, and then I saw the rest of it. Sokolov, describe it. Karpov, long silence. Sokolov, Mikhail, describe the animal. Karpov, it wasn't an animal. I mean, it was, but it wasn't. It had 4 legs, a tail. Fur, I think, though the color was wrong. Gray, but too gray, like ashes, like something burned. The body was wolf-shaped, but larger, much larger. Shoulder height maybe 1.5 meters. But the proportions... Sokolov, what about the proportions? Karpov, the legs were wrong. Too thick, muscles bunched up wrong like someone had designed a wolf based on a description but had never actually seen one. And the head... Sokolov, yes? Karpov, no snout. Flat face, almost human, almost. But the mouth was too wide, splitting the face almost to the ears. And it was open, just hanging open. I could see inside. No teeth, no tongue, just black. Empty. Sokolov, what happened next? Karpov, I shot it, center mass. I heard the bullet hit, A wet sound like punching meat, but the thing didn't react, didn't flinch, didn't make a sound, just kept watching me. So I shot it again and again. And Yevgeny woke up and started shooting. And Grigory, we kept firing. 47 rounds. I counted. We emptied all 3 rifles into it. Sokolov and Karpov. It walked away, turned around and walked back into the forest. Slowly, not running, not limping, just walking. Like nothing had happened. Like we hadn't just put 47 bullets in it, and it was completely silent. Its feet on the ground, no sound. Its body moving through the underbrush, no sound. It just disappeared into the silence it carried with it. Sokolov. That's when Yevgeny ran? Karpov. Yes. He dropped his rifle and ran, straight into the forest, straight toward where the thing had gone. We called after him, but he didn't stop, didn't even look back. We found him the next morning. You know what happened to him. Sokolov. And Grigory? Karpov. Grigory went after the thing, not to kill it, to understand it. He followed the blood trail. We saw him walk into the trees, and then the silence moved with him, swallowed him. When we found him back at camp, he was just sitting there, and he won't stop sitting there, because he saw something. He saw where the blood trail ended. Sokolov. What did he see? Karpov. Ask him. I wasn't brave enough to follow. The interview ended there. Karpov was released but monitored. The file includes a note from 1985, 14 years later, stating that he'd committed suicide by hanging. They found him in his basement with his eyes closed and cotton stuffed in his ears. The note he left said, "I can still hear the silence. I want to stop hearing it." Sokolov's team went back to the forest. They found Grigory Suslov still sitting at the camp, exactly where the search party had left him. He'd been there for 6 days without food or water. He was still alive. Consultant K examined him. The medical report is disturbing. Subject is physically healthy despite prolonged exposure and deprivation. Vitals are normal. However, subject is completely unresponsive to external stimuli, does not react to pain, light, or sound. Eyes remain open and fixed on the tree line. Upon closer examination, the subject's eyes show no saccadic movement, no micro-adjustments that typically occur in conscious humans. It's as if he's not seeing the forest in front of him, but something else, something overlaid on his vision. Attempted to close subject's eyelids manually. They would not stay closed. Muscular rigidity prevents it. Subject is locked in observation mode. Recommendation: subject should be removed from sight and placed in psychiatric care. However, I believe removal will be difficult. Subject may resist in unpredictable ways. They tried to move him. Grigory reacted. He stood up. First movement in 6 days. Stood up smoothly, easily, like he'd just been resting. Then he turned and walked into the forest. The team followed, calling out, trying to stop him. He walked straight to where the blood trail ended. There was nothing there, just forest. But Grigory stopped and pointed at the ground. Pointed with his whole arm, rigid, like a hunting dog indicating prey. Senior Lieutenant Sokolov approached, looked at where Grigory was pointing. The ground was undisturbed. No blood, no tracks. But there was an impression. Not physical, not something you could see directly. But if you looked at it from the corner of your eye, you could perceive a shape, a depression in reality. Like something heavy had been there and had pressed itself not into the soil, but into the space itself. Consultant K's report: the area subject G indicated shows no physical anomalies upon standard examination. However, electromagnetic readings are inconsistent. Compass needles spin. Radio equipment produces static regardless of frequency. Temperature readings fluctuate by 15 degrees within a 1-meter radius. More concerning, the sound dampening effect appears to be localized here. When standing within 2 meters of the indicated area, all auditory input becomes muffled, as if wearing heavy insulation. Effect dissipates when moving away. Subject G will not leave this spot. Attempts to move him result in extreme resistance. Subject appears to be guarding the area, or unable to look away from it. They left him there, posted 2 guards. Waited. 3 hours later, Grigory Suslov stopped breathing. Just stopped. No distress, no struggle. The guards said he simply exhaled and didn't inhale again. The autopsy, performed in the village by a medical officer who'd flown in with Sokolov, found nothing wrong. No disease, no injury. Heart was healthy, lungs were clear, brain showed no trauma. The medical officer wrote, "Subject appears to have died of biological termination without medical cause, as if his body received a signal to cease function and obeyed." Someone, maybe Consultant K, the handwriting matches, added in the margin, or as if something else decided he was no longer necessary. Sokolov's team stayed in the area for 2 weeks. They hunted the thing. Used bait, fresh meat, live animals. Set up camera traps. Audio recording equipment. Nothing worked. The cameras showed empty forest. The audio recordings captured nothing but wind and birds. But twice, the team members reported feeling watched. Intense, predatory focus from an unknown direction. And both times when they checked the recordings, there were gaps. 15-second intervals where the equipment had simply stopped, not malfunctioned, just paused, as if time itself had skipped. Consultant K tried something different. Set up a ring of microphones around the last campsite. Sensitive equipment, designed to pick up subsonic frequencies, sounds below human hearing range. The recordings are in the file. Or rather, there's a transcript describing the recordings, because the original tapes were damaged during transport and subsequently destroyed. The transcript. Playback of subsonic recording, April 29th, 1971, 03:17 hours. EO0, ambient forest sounds, wind through branches, distant owl calls. 123, ambient sounds cease abruptly. 125, silence, no detectable sound above 15 decibels. 145, subsonic pulse detected. Frequency, 12 Hertz pattern, suggests biological origin. Possible respiration. 210, second subsonic pulse. 11 Hertz closer. Estimated distance, 40 meters. 245, multiple subsonic pulses. Frequencies between 913 Hertz pattern suggests movement. Estimated distance, 20 meters. 312, pulses stop. Silence for 30 seconds. 342, single prolonged subsonic event. 7 Hertz duration, 8 seconds. Volume, 95 decibels, subsonic. Estimated distance, less than 5 meters. 350, equipment failure, recording ends. When they recovered the equipment the next morning, the microphones were intact, but the casing around them was marked. Long scratches in the metal. 4 parallel lines, evenly spaced. Like claw marks, but too precise, too deliberate. And in the center of the microphone array, pressed into the soft earth, a print. The photograph is in the file. It shows a track roughly 30 centimeters long, canine-shaped, but wrong. 5 toes instead of 4. Each toe tipped with what looks like a talon, curved, sharp. But here's what made Consultant K attach 3 separate notes to the photograph. The print was too perfect. No scuff marks, no displacement of soil around the edges. It was pressed straight down with enormous force. They estimated over 200 kilograms of pressure, and then lifted straight up. No animal moves like that. Animals shift weight, slide, adjust. This thing had pressed its foot into the ground like a stamp, like it was marking something. The investigation concluded on May 3rd. Senior Lieutenant Sokolov filed his final report. Object Molchun 1 remains at large in the Komi Republic taiga. Classification: Apex Predator. Origin unknown. Characteristics: quadrupedal, wolf-like morphology with significant deviations. Estimated weight 180, 120, height at shoulder 140, 160 cm. Distinctive feature: complete absence of vocalization or audible movement. Behavior: stalking and herding tactics over multiple days. Subject displays high intelligence and possible territorial behavior. Subject does not appear to hunt for food. Attacks seem motivated by unclear factors. Perhaps curiosity, perhaps something else. Lethality: moderate. Subject killed one human, but methods suggest restraint. Subject had multiple opportunities to kill all 3 hunters, but chose to isolate and observe instead. Recommendation: area should be quarantined. Local population should be relocated. Object should be monitored but not engaged without significant preparation. The recommendation was ignored. No quarantine, no relocation. Just a note in the file from someone in Moscow. Local economic value outweighs risk. Incident to be classified. Investigation team to submit biological samples if possible. Otherwise, case closed. But Consultant K filed one more report. It's dated 3 days after the official investigation ended. It's written in the same mechanical handwriting, but the precision is gone. The letters are uneven, pressed hard into the paper. I returned to the site alone. I wanted to understand what Grigory Suslov saw, what made him unable to look away. I stood where he stood, I looked where he looked, and I saw it. Not the creature, the place where it rests. There's a gap in the forest, not physical, dimensional. A fold in space that doesn't reflect light correctly. When you look at it directly, you see nothing, but peripheral vision catches it. A hollow, a den, not dug into earth, but into something else. I could hear it breathing, not with my ears, in my skull, subsonic, rhythmic, patient. It knows we know it's there. It doesn't care. It's not hiding. It's waiting. Waiting for what? I don't know, but I think it's waiting for us to forget, to dismiss it, to look away, and then it will move closer. I recommend immediate aerial bombardment of the following coordinates. The coordinates are redacted. The rest of the page is burned. Deliberately. Someone held a flame to the paper and let it curl up from the bottom, erasing whatever else Consultant K wrote. There's no record of what happened to Consultant K, no personnel file, no reassignment paperwork, just a notation from 1972. Consultant K, deceased, unrelated incident. But there's one more item in the file, a photograph, black and white, taken in 1983, 12 years after the investigation. It shows a forest clearing. Komi Republic, according to the stamp on the back. And in the center of the clearing, arranged in a neat circle, human skulls, 47 of them. None of the skulls show trauma, no bullet holes, no fractures. They're clean, pristine, like they were placed there carefully, respectfully. And in the center of the circle, a single print in the dirt. Canine-shaped, 5 toes, too perfect. Someone wrote on the back of the photograph, "It's counting." The file ends there. No closure, no resolution. Just a final note from 1991, after the Soviet Union collapsed and these archives were being reorganized. All attempts to locate object Molchan 1 have failed. Area remains active. Local hunters refuse to enter region. Last reported sighting, 1989. Single witness. Hunter named Arkady Volkov. Claims he saw the creature at dawn, standing on a hillside, watching the village below. Witness states, it was counting us. I could feel it. Like it was memorizing our faces, our scents, our voices, building a catalog. And when it was done, it looked at me, looked right at me, and I knew it was deciding whether I was worth remembering or worth forgetting. I hope it forgot me. God, I hope it forgot me. I'm closing the file now. The photograph of the skulls is still on my desk. I've been staring at it for 20 minutes, and I've noticed something. The arrangement isn't random. The skulls are positioned in a pattern. A spiral, starting from the outside and curling inward toward the center. 47 skulls in a deliberate sequence. 47. The same number of bullets they fired at it. It was counting, after all. It remembered every single shot. And it responded in its own time, in its own way. The file is closed. The creature, if it still exists, is out there in the taiga, in the silence between sounds, in the space between trees. And I keep thinking about what Consultant K wrote, about it waiting for us to forget, to look away. I think we've looked away, I think we forgot, I think it's moving closer, and we'll never hear it coming.